Sonic X Shadow Generations is one of the worst video games I have had the displeasure of playing. While the game looks nice and I guess sounds okay at best, the level design and controls are pretty darn crappy, is what I would say if I was a goddamn liar. After being leaked and then shortly revealed at the January 2024 State of Play, it's safe to say that despite people being hyped about the game, we were also skeptical about the quality of the game because, yeah, you know, in the past Sonic trailers haven't been the most, truthful. But 10 months later, we are now here in the present day and we've all had the pleasure of playing the game and beating it. And overall, the game has got a very positive reception. People left, right and centre, whether they're a casual or a hardcore Sonic fan, seem to unanimously agree that this game, yeah, is pretty good. And we have actually had this for a Sonic game since, ironically, the original Sonic Generations back in 2011, and it's quite a nice feeling, I'm not gonna lie, quite a nice feeling. For once we could all just sit here and agree that, yeah, the latest Sonic game, pretty good, I ain't really got anything major to complain about here. But of course, from the title of this video, you can tell that Unleash, you're not letting in on everything right now, are you? You got something to hide right now, I can tell. Bittersweet, Unleash, you can't hide anything from us. We know you really hate the game deep down. Don't lie to us. And to get into the reason why I think that this game is actually bittersweet, well, let's just, talk about the game and review it. Yeah, like a normal person would do. So sit back, relax, grab a drink of Rubicon Mango or something, I don't know, as we discuss the ups and downs of Sonic X Shadow Generations. Using your very advanced comprehension skills, we can see that Sonic X Shadow Generations has the word Sonic at the beginning of its game title, so with that being said, let's start off with that Sonic part of this complete package then. Now, gonna be honest, if I had to pick a Sonic game to remaster right now, Sonic Generations wouldn't be the first one that I would pick, but it is a game that I would pick regardless. Despite the game having a PC port and being backwards compatible on the Xbox Series S and X, the game is unavailable to play on the Nintendo Switch or the PS5 and 4. And judging by the fact that Sonic sells best on Nintendo and PlayStation, yeah, having a remaster of Sonic Generations was definitely something that needed to happen. And besides, the backwards compatible version of Sonic Generations and the PC version of the game have their own pile of issues. Starting off with the PC version, it sucks absolute arse. It's a terrible PC port. Now, it's not really its own fault, it's more so the fact that it's actually aged quite terribly, because obviously this was released like over a decade ago, so the PC version of this game comes with its issues for being 10 years old. One of those issues being it has a configuration menu outside of the game. Why is this a thing? Well, because it's 10 years old. When you're actually in Sonic Generations, the original one on the PC, in order to change something like a graphics setting or a controller setting, you need to close the game down every single time just to open that configuration menu and change something, then open it back up again, and rinse and repeat. And of course, absolutely nobody wants to be doing that. And then when it comes to how optimized this PC port actually is, yeah, it's not very optimized at all really. On a bad day, I can barely get this thing to run at 60 FPS consistently, yet with Sonic Frontiers, the latest Sonic game before Sonic X Shadow Generations, that can run perfectly at a smooth 60 FPS, yet Sonic Generations, the game from a decade ago, can't do that? Where's the logic there? That should not be happening. So yeah, the PC version of Sonic Generations is pretty bad. Some people actually need to have mods on for the game to run properly, and that isn't really consumer friendly, is it? And then looking at the backwards compatible version on the Xbox, that once again has its issues. A lot of areas of this game are broken because of the 60 FPS boost that the Xbox actually gives it. And then despite the game getting a resolution bump, that does not affect the cutscenes in the game that are pre-rendered, same for the PC version because, you know, they're pre-rendered. So even with a 4K 60 FPS game, you still got some terrible 720p 30 FPS cutscenes in there, which look pretty terrible. So despite Sonic Generations being technically available on modern hardware, they weren't great ways to actually play the game, so a remaster was definitely in check, so that is why I believe that Sonic X Shadow Generations was a necessary remaster. Even though personally I would have chosen Sonic Unleashed first, but you know, we can get to that later. So let's actually talk about the remaster of Sonic Generations in this package, because we've been sat here for like, what is it, 5 minutes now, we still haven't actually got to it yet, so let's actually get to it now. The first thing that you will notice when pressing that start button and pressing new game is the fact, oh thank you Sega, they've given us multiple save files. It's a goddamn miracle. Thank you Sega. What took you so long? And this is also the case for Shadow Generations 2 there, so woohoo, we win. But before doing that, most normal people like me go to the settings of a game before actually playing it for the first time, and thankfully you can see right there, that's it. Graphics options and everything like that, they're all actually in the game this time. No annoying separate config menu or something like that outside of the game. No, it's all actually in the game this time. Thank you. But if you head over to the controls part of this menu, you can see that you can actually pick legacy or standard controls. Legacy being obviously the original generation's control mapping, and then the new one, standard, actually taking inspiration from Sonic Frontiers. And then you got a third option where you can actually just customize it completely to your liking, so that's actually pretty nice. But something which isn't actually very nice at all, when in gameplay, the D-pad does absolutely nothing. You can try to map the D-pad to anything in the controls or whatever, but it will do nothing, but take it as the analog stick. Now this might sound like a non-issue to some people, but not me. It is very hard for me to look over this because of the fact that the D-pad had a function in the original Sonic generations. And this is a common thing that I see with PC Sonic ports nowadays. Like Forces for example, on the PC version of the game, the D-pad has absolutely zero function, yet on the console versions of the game, you can use the D-pad to control Sonic and your character perfectly fine. So why is this an issue in the first place? Because in a platformer, especially with 2.5D sections, why would you not let the D-pad be in use? It's quite a strange change to make. In the original Sonic generations, and apparently people didn't actually know this fact, but you could pull off tricks as modern Sonic with the D-pad, and I found it to be quite nice to use instead of the analog stick. But now that the D-pad has no function in gameplay, I can't do that anymore, and it's a lot less satisfying in my opinion. But what I find to be very bizarre with the D-pad in this game is that even though it doesn't work in gameplay, when it comes to the menus it works fine there, so clearly it does actually work, just not in the stages for some reason. But even that's not entirely true, because in the hub world, aka the white space, you can actually use the D-pad to select a stage. Why can I use it here but not actually in the stages themselves? Where is the consistency here? That is such a stupid thing to do. Anyways, moving on to the actual in-game stuff. The first thing you will notice upon playing the game is that 1. The heads-up display actually looks very crisp now. And that is because all the heads-up display, all the menu and everything like that, yeah, they've all been upscaled in the remaster, and it's so nice to look at now. And the second thing you might notice is classic Sonic's model. From the very first trailer of this game, I always noticed that Classic Sonic's quills looked a bit off to me. And of course, because people are nowhere near observant as myself, they all thought I was going crazy and called me a goddamn liar. But now that the game's out, we can see that no, unless he was just tripping balls, he was goddamn right. He has an eye for everything apparently. I'm just a goat like that, what can I say? And despite being a small change, I actually really like this change. I think that the model looks so much cleaner now with these brand new quill placements. I always thought that in the original game the quills just looked a bit weird, especially seeing them from behind, but now that's actually been changed in the remaster, that looks very appealing honestly. I like the way it looks. Now the third thing that you might notice upon playing the game is that Classic Sonic seems to have a brand new move, which is the drop dash, introduced in not Sonic Mania, but Sonic Lost World. Shout out Lost World. And not only does Classic Sonic have the drop dash, also weirdly modern Sonic? That's a bit weird, but okay. What's even more strange is the way you actually perform the drop dash as modern Sonic, and also the way it works. The way to use it as modern Sonic is jumping, doing an air dash, then pressing the button a third time and holding it until you reach the ground, and then you'll perform a drop dash. And to be quite frank with you, this is pretty darn stupid. Why the hell would you include such a pointless move in the first place, and then just make it even more harder to perform this pointless move? It just makes the pointless move even more pointless. There were so many better buttons to map the drop dash to as modern Sonic. For example, since the drift only works whilst you're on the ground, could you just place the drop dash button on the drift button whilst you're in the air? Does that not seem to make any more sense to anybody else? Even Sonic Frontiers seemed to have this similar issue with putting the drop dash in a weird button placement, but to be fair to Sonic Frontiers, there weren't really any place to put the drop dash besides after the double jump in that game, because R2 does the boost and L2 does either spin dash or the Sonic boom in the air, so Frontiers didn't really have many options, but with Sonic Generations there isn't really any excuse here. Pressing the drift button in the air does absolutely nothing, so why not just put it there? But what makes even less sense is how the drop dash is actually incorporated into both Sonic's movesets. For modern Sonic, the drop dash is actually baked into his moveset, so whatever stage you're playing, whatever boss you're in, the drop dash is always going to be available to you. But when it comes to Classic Sonic, it works a bit differently. For some strange reason, the drop dash isn't actually part of Classic Sonic's base moveset. Similar to unlocking the homing attack for Classic Sonic in this game, or a shield, or the insta shield, the drop dash is only part of a skill they can actually turn on and off. In Sonic Generations, the skills that you actually unlock in the game are only able to be used in the stages themselves, so not in the challenge missions, not in the boss fights, and not in the hub world. Meaning that if you try to attempt to use a drop dash in a challenge level or a boss or the hub world, it won't work because it's only part of the skills, not his actual moveset. Oh, but don't worry. Despite the drop dash not being available to you in anything but the main stages, I don't think you're going to get much use out of it in the main stages anyways because of how useless it is. For modern Sonic, the drop dash in 3D is pretty much useless. I don't think there's a single situation where I've ever thought to even use a drop dash. But when it comes to 2D, even though again I can just use the boost, there are a few select instances where the drop dash actually was kind of useful, especially in the challenge mission levels. Because with modern Sonic, the drop dash actually has the same instant speed as the boost. But when it comes to the Fabled classic Sonic, the drop dash does not have the same story for him. As we all know from the original Sonic generations, this spin dash was absolutely broken in that game. Not broken as, oh he has so many glitches or something like that, no, broken as it's so flipping OP. Using the spin dash as classic Sonic and Sonic generations sends you flying forward at a bazillion miles per hour. Obviously, an over-exaggeration there, but flipping hell is this thing fast. And this is the reason why the drop dash feels so useless, because the drop dash speed compared to the spin dash speed is quite flipping pathetic. Let's compare a clip of using a spin dash in Green Hill Zone Act 1 to using the drop dash in this stage instead. Yeah, quite the difference there, isn't it? In my personal opinion, having the drop dash in a classic Sonic game with momentum physics actually makes a whole lot more sense, because when it came to using the drop dash, you never really use it to actually gain speed like the spin dash would. The drop dash was mostly always used to gain a bit of speed when trying to go downhill into a roll. But because Sonic Generations is a game with zero momentum physics in its rolling, it means that if they're going to put in the drop dash into Sonic Generations, they're going to have to change it up a bit from the original interpretation of it, which of course they didn't do in the remaster. In 10 out of 10 scenarios, instead of using the drop dash in this game, it's usually more useful to just stop, charge a spin dash and then release it to get more speed than the drop dash ever could. But now, it's time to talk about the biggest change aspect of this remaster, which are the cutscenes. The original Sonic Generations' story was pretty bad, not because the actual cutscenes were terrible or anything like that, but because there was no story, which for a Sonic game, yeah, that is pretty bad. Now you can make the argument that, oh, it's an anniversary game, so it doesn't have to have a great story, but then again, Sonic Adventure 2, that was an anniversary game and that had a great story, but with Sonic Generations, there's no story here for some reason. So in this remaster, most of the cutscenes have been redubbed and rewritten, and in hindsight, this sounds like a great idea. This gives the opportunity to make Sonic Generations' story, once quite bland and boring and uneventful, into something truly great of celebrating Sonic's history and him questioning things which should have been questioned. But yeah, no, they didn't do any of that. The rewrite in this game is just fine. The Sonic Generations rewrite doesn't really add anything to the story, it just changes it, which wasn't really going to be enough to make Sonic Generations' story great, because honestly the cutscenes themselves weren't all that bad. Some of them a bit cringe, but not anything terrible or offensive. It just needed more in there because there was nothing there to begin with. So sadly, just a simple rewrite was never going to fix Sonic Generations' story. If you thought the original Sonic Generations story was nothing amazing, your opinion on the rewrite is going to be exactly the same. Now as stated already, the rewrite is fine. There's nothing terrible about it. However, one of the weird instances of the rewrite I found was when Sonic was confused about going through time without the use of the time stones from the terrible game Sonic CD. When in the much better game Sonic 06, he was able to do so with the power of the Chaos Emeralds. No time stone in sight. And listen, I know canonically Sonic 06 has been erased and it actually technically has never actually happened, but still, Sonic shouldn't be this confused about this whole situation, but who knows? Maybe the person behind this rewrite wasn't that familiar with the Sonic series and therefore Sonic 06. Who rewrote this thing anyways? Ah, So yes, that's right. The man behind this rewrite is none other than Ian Flynn, someone who is praised to very high regard in the Sonic community for his great writing. Ain't that right, Sonic fans?
I'm sick of Ian Flynn.
I hate Ian Flynn for no particular reason at all. Fuck Ian Flynn. He did things I do not like. Ian Flynn fucking killed my grandmother.
I really like Ian Flynn. Ever since 2006.
Stick to the damn script. Contrary to what Sonic fans might have you believe, Ian Flynn is indeed a good writer for the Sonic series, and that includes the recent games like Frontiers. Now, he does happen to have a slight little issue with having pointless references in his scripts, and Frontiers and all the flashbacks was evidence of that, but in the Sonic Generations rewrite, apart from that one time stone little thing there isn't many out-of-place references here, to be honest with you. In fact, most of the references here are all from the original script anyways, so when it comes to blaming Ian Flynn for all the references in this script, you can leave Flynn out of this because he didn't do anything like that, so leave the guy alone please. Now, despite the script itself not being all that bad, where it does get a bit troublesome is the voice acting. For some strange reason, compared to the original, the redubbed cutscenes in the Generations remaster all sound weird, whether it be just a bad voice actor in general or the weird voice direction. Obviously, since some recastings have been done since the original Sonic Generations, not all the voices sound exactly the same as the original, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but man, some of these new voices just aren't it, man. Like Silver, God, he just sounds like he's trying to be Sonic at this point. And then weirdly, even some of the voice actors that have stayed the same since the original Sonic Generations just sound even more weird in the redub. Both Charmy and Cream sound absolutely awful in the redub in my opinion. Cream's voice actor sounds like he's trying too hard to sound like a kid, and she clearly doesn't have a voice anymore because some of these lines are just ugh.
I'll help you with the rings, Mr. Sonic. Press the button if you need me.
And then as for Charmy, I don't even know what the hell happened here, man. Like, ugh. Bloody hell.
I was scared because somebody took me, but now I'm free. I'm a free bee. Free bee. Free bee. Whee!
And then as for Rouge, recently her voice direction has been very weird as to giving a very high-pitched voice for some reason, and while that does carry over to the remaster, it sounds even more weird than just a high-pitched voice because she sounds like she's got like a blocked nose talking or something like that. It just sounds weird.
Thank you, Blue. That thing that grabbed me was like nothing I've ever seen before. Watch out.
And then in my opinion, one of the saddest things here is Mike Pollock as Eggman. He still sounds like an Eggman, that's not really the problem. It's just that there's no energy in his voice anymore. Probably because of his age or whatever, because he's been doing this for a long time. And you can definitely hear that age in the redone voice lines. Even in the lines that were kept exactly the same, you can really hear the difference between the new ones and the original ones. Like Mike has just lost it, man. And what's even funnier to me is that in the cutscene where Eggman is revealed to be in control of the Time Eater, they reuse one of Mike's old laughs as Eggman because they know damn well that Mike today could not pull off that mastery of a laugh. When it comes to Roger and Tails, they both sound fine voice-wise, but again, the direction is a bit off. Like, some of these lines just sound either less energetic than the original game, or just straight up like they don't even belong here. But what I think really affects all this new voice direction or whatever is the fact that all the animation in the cutscenes has been kept virtually the same. Even the lip syncing has not been changed at all to match the new lines. It's just the same lip syncing as the original cutscenes, just with new lines over it, and that just makes it seem very, very slapped together and no effort being put in. But me saying no effort has been put in is actually wrong, because there has been some change animations to reflect the brand new and inferior character for Amy. Amy is now being portrayed as a lot less, flirtatious with Sonic, and Amy is now so boring as a character nowadays because they keep trying to remove a key part of a character, her affection for Sonic. But not even just that, they've been trying to remove stuff like Amy punching Knuckles into a tree. Like, I always thought that was hilarious in the original game, but now it's just gone. Like, what was the need for that? Even the character bios in the collection room have all been kept exactly the same, except for one, which is Amy Rose, just to change her character up a bit from the original game, because for some reason Sega's been trying to do that for the past couple of years. Now, with all this rewriting of text and stuff in this character bio, and all the rewriting in the cutscenes or whatever, you'd think they'd change the text in Shadow's speech bubble for his boss fight to reflect the new cutscenes in Shadow Generations, but no. that's been kept exactly the same for some stupid reason. This is so weird, man. Such an inconsistent rewrite. Why even bother at this point? Like, you could have changed something significant that we actually didn't like about the original game, like, I don't know, the Time Eater fight, you know, something like that. The one actually bad thing about the original game, but no. You decide to waste your resources on rewriting and redubbing cutscenes nobody cared about. Anyways, moving on from those weirdly rewritten and redubbed cutscenes, let's talk about the new Rescue Chow feature in all 9 of the zones in the game. Similar to finding the 5 red star rings in all the stages, you can now find 3 new Chow in the stages. And that's about it, really. Not much to say about it. Once you collect them, they just chill out in the hub world, which I think is kind of cute, but you're probably wondering, Unleash, what do you actually get for collecting all these Chow? Well, you're gonna want to sit down for this one. You get absolutely nothing. That's what you get for it. So, good searching for nothing, mate. Yeah. You could have given us, like, I don't know, some new songs from the games after Sonic Generations. No, nothing like that. Maybe some new concept art from the games after Generations. No, none of that. How about you get nothing, mate? How about just a slap to the face? How about that instead? You know, it really does just baffle me how they added all these things and changed all these things about the game, yet the one thing which got barely unchanged was the visuals in the game. It's supposed to be a remaster, they claim to have it be a remaster and all the marketing for the game, yet just looking at the game, it looks basically one-to-one with the original. I know for people on consoles, the game might look better because it's got a frame rate boost and obviously the resolution boost as well, but for people on PC, it looks exactly the same, if not worse, without the mods now. I know I'm not no game designer or anything like that, but could they not have ported the game to, like, I don't know, Hedgehog Engine 2 or something like that, just to do something to the game? Or if they can't do that, at least touch up the lighting and at least update the textures, because some of those textures in Generations ooh-wee, they're very rough. Because you can barely just sell this as a remaster because it's not a remaster. Nothing got remastered except for the heads-up display and that's it. This is just a Sonic Generations port, not a remaster, and that's all it is. One thing I thought was interesting that they changed in this game was the fact that the boss intro text has been changed to actually suit the original Sonic Generations font, and honestly, I like this change because, I don't know if it's just me, but the original boss text font always just seemed out of place in this game. Like, I don't know what about it, it just seemed a bit weird, but I want to talk about the Metal Sonic intro real quick because it's actually broken in this remaster. Now you might be wondering, Unleash was actually broken, like I'm looking at this thing right now and everything seems fine, but here, I'll just play the audio of the original and the remaster and you can tell me what's wrong with this. Yeah, so for some reason in the remaster, the version of the song that's playing is not the right one that should be playing in the intro. The version played in this intro is actually the one that's supposed to play when you actually die and restart the boss fight. And what's funny to me is that when you pause and actually restart the boss fight, it plays the boss intro version of the song instead. So something's gone massively wrong here because yeah, the music's been flipped now, which is a bit of a shame because the original boss music actually synced up with the way the original fight actually begun after the cutscene, so even though it's not anything massive or anything to complain about, it still is a bit of a shame. Like, that was satisfying to look at, man, with the music. Bit of a shame. But with that, I believe that is pretty much everything to talk about with this remaster. I didn't think I'd blabber on about it for half an hour on my end, but yeah, that's that. So it's now time to move on to the meat of this entire package. Shadow Generations. Now, something that I think most people have actually accidentally done is click on Shadow's story, which is actually a nice little recap of Shadow's history with the events of Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog 2005 actually explained here, which I think is actually pretty nice. Not a lot of people nowadays are going to have played or even remember the lore behind Shadow from Sonic Adventure 2 or even Shadow 5, so having this here, It's a great addition actually, and he even uses music from Shadow the Hedgehog 2005, and that's going to become a recurring theme here, mind you. Shadow Generations opens up with a continuation of the 3-episode prologue Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings, with Shadow finally arriving on the Ark with Rouge talking to him about the birthday party. And you can really see the graphical difference between Shadow Generations and Sonic Generations because holy crap, look at that difference, man. It's literally black and white. Makes me wish that once again Sonic Generations actually, remastered to look better, but oh well. Shadow then finds the thing that's been lurking aboard the Ark and goes ahead to chase it, and then you get thrown in straight into the first level, Space Colony Ark Act 1, and can I just say, that opening cutscene looked absolutely beautiful. The animation here, lighting, just everything. You really can just see the improvement here from, Frontiers and everything like that, because even though Frontiers didn't look bad, it didn't look nearly as great as this. Like, this is some solid cutscene animation, man, and just visuals as well. But yeah, Space Colony Ark Act 1, the first level of the game, and what an opening stage, honestly. I absolutely love how seamless the transition from the cutscene to the stage is here. Even though there is a loading screen in between them, there's no, a title card to spoil the stage or anything like that. No, you're just straight in. That actually threw me off the first time I was actually playing the game, like, oh crap, we're just straight in there. And Space Colony Ark Act 1 as an actual stage is actually pretty good. It's not the greatest Sonic level design you've ever seen for the series, no, nothing like that, but that makes sense because it's the opening level. You usually have 2 different pathways to go on in this level, one on the bottom and then one on the top. And that philosophy of level design stays the exact same for pretty much the entire game, with a few branching pathways here and there. But this stage pretty much introduces you to Chaos Control, the main gimmick of this entire game, allowing Shadow to stop time completely for 5 whole seconds, stopping all the objects in the level, enemies, anything there, you name it, is stopped. But not only does it stop the entire level itself, also the timer on the top left. And as you can already imagine, speedrunners have gone ahead and absolutely abused the hell out of this thing. Chaos Control in this game is given to you by either 2 methods. Either 1, the capsules, or 2, enemies. But the mechanics go a whole lot more deeper than just that. If you defeat an enemy that gives you Chaos Control, or get a capsule that gives you, once again, Chaos Control, whilst actually using Chaos Control, that will all be stored for you ready to use straight after finishing the current Chaos Control. But it goes even further than that. Similar to how grabbing works with the Werehog in Sonic Unleashed, if you just hold the LT button, or whatever button your Chaos Control mapped to, as soon as your Chaos Control meter fills up, it will automatically activate, which has led to some interesting things with the Chaos Control in terms of duplication. Doing this holding the Chaos Control button trick, if you do it when getting a Chaos Control capsule thing, for some reason, in some points of the game, it will actually clone it when it actually ends. So you grab one Chaos Control thing, use it immediately, and then once that ends, for some reason, another one will just appear out of nowhere, I guess, and then you'll just have another bar filled already, so you can use it immediately again. It's very weird. It's hard to explain properly here, but the point to be made here is that Chaos Control has been used heavily in speedruns and yeah, it's quite broken, let's just put it that way. But yeah, back to Space Colony Ark Act 1. Halfway through this stage, you are required to use Chaos Control to activate a QTE, which looks cool the first time, but upon replaying, I'm gonna be honest with you, it gets quite boring because you start doing the same thing every single time, spamming the X button or the square button or whatever button you got it mapped to. And this is a problem that I see with many Sonic QTEs nowadays, stemming from I think forces actually. In every one of these games' QTEs, you're stuck spamming the same button, the X button or the square button, but in Sonic Unleashed for example, well, I'll say for example, that's the only example I can actually give here, but in Sonic Unleashed, despite QTEs being a lot more apparent there than in any other game, what made them so great there is that you're pressing more than just one button, the X button. You're pressing X, B, A, Y, right bosh, left bosh. But in the current Sonic game QTEs, it's always the same button, and I do think that contributes to these QTEs in modern Sonic games feeling very boring because you start pressing the same button every single time, where in Sonic Unleashed, the button prompts are always randomized, so you're always being kept on your toes there. But despite this QTE being boring on a repeat, the animation will always look really cool, because yeah, this animation here, ooh, that is good stuff right there. And where the animation really does shine in this level, in my opinion, is the Doom meeting halfway through the level where somehow Doom's Eye returns? What? How are you here? I thought we killed you like 20 years ago, mate. What the hell are you doing here? But yeah, Doom's Eye shows up out of nowhere and then transforms the whole level into Radical Highway. And I can't get over how cool this looks even right now after playing it a bazillion times. Like, I'm still so impressed how they did this with like no loading screens, no nothing. Even on the Nintendo Switch version of this game, there's no loading screens here at all. It's just a seamless transition And that's that. And visually, this Radical Highway area is pretty darn cool. As like a one-time thing, yeah, it's pretty cool, but I do think that if I turn it more in the game later on, I would start to get a bit sick of it, but no, I don't think they'd do that. That'd be a horrible decision. Why the hell would they do that, right? But yeah, in this Radical Highway section, you boost on roads. In a straight line, you grind on rails. In a straight line, you slide down buildings. In a straight line. Okay, yeah, this level design here ain't all that great, but I can kind of forgive it because, one, it's the opening stage, and two, I think the whole purpose of this being here is just for a cool aesthetic, which it is, let's be honest here, it's a flipping sick aesthetic. At the end of this section, you defeat Doomseye by just pelting 5 robots at him, and then the level ends with Doom deconstructing Radical Highway to reconstruct you back to Space Colony Ark, and again, such a clean transition, all for what? Just to show off? Yeah, we see you, Sonic Team. We see you, mate. We know you're showing off, and please don't do this again, please. So, showing off is cool once, and do it more than once, and you get sold, yeah? I don't want to see this again. After beating the level, Shadow seems to find himself the fake Chaos Emerald from Sonic Adventure 2, which, honestly, can I just say this? I think it's a really funny coincidence, honestly, because just think of this. In the original Sonic Adventure 2, the fake Chaos Emerald was yellow, and then guess what, in Sonic Generations, Shadow's Chaos Emerald is also yellow. So Ian Flynn uses that perfectly timed coincidence to just conjure up this story beat, and trust me, this comes into big play later on in the game. But yeah, upon finding this Chaos Emerald, it is I, the Time Eater, comes and yeah, send a shout out to White Space. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Just going to character there. Sorry, my bad. And from there we see that Omega is here. Omega, did we leave you on planet Earth, mate? What? Well, why are you here? Next up, we have a Space Colony Arc Act 2, where we have 2D. Oh boy, because we all loved the part in episode Shadow where Shadow had 2D Green Hill. Yay, more 2D. Oh boy. Alright, jokes aside here, the 2D here isn't actually too bad. It's actually scary to think about, but pretty good. Oh, scary. And in this stage, we are introduced to 2 brand new mechanics for Shadow. One of them being the Chaos Spear, used to open up doors by hitting some switches, and somehow the Sonic community turned this thing into a speedrun tactic. For some strange reason, if you spam the Chaos Spear whilst in the air, you retain basically all momentum. Now this is useful because usually after boosting in the air, Shadow loses basically all of his speed because the game designers wanted to make a video game that you could actually play and not just skip over everything. But no, they forgot the wretched Chaos Spear apparently, and now Shadow can just fly to his heart's demise. Man, who needs a Doom Wings at this point? He's got the Chaos Spear, man. Alright, yeah. The Doom Wings. So in this level, we are also introduced to the brand new Doom Wings, where Shadow loses them straight after the level. So I don't know why they would show that here, but okay. But yeah, in the Doom Wing form, Shadow is actually invincible to all damage, so that's pretty cool. It's basically his super form because it also requires 50 rings to use and also drains rings while using it. And even though it's a Doom Wing, you don't actually fly with it, it's more so used as a glide like Knuckles. After beating the level, Shadow questions that his Doom powers, despite them feeling natural, he shouldn't actually be able to do that. Wait, really, Shadow? You don't normally just grow wings out of nowhere and just fly? Huh, wow. That's weird, never saw that coming. But something that Shadow also didn't see coming is that Maria and Mr. Gerald Robotnik are also here. And then also in this cutscene, we get that classic Ian Flynn flashback. Oh yeah, there's my Ian Flynn right there. We knew he was coming there somewhere, just didn't know when, so there we go. Ian Flynn, woo! And then after this cutscene, we unlock the brand new power, which are the Doom Spears, allowing Shadow to shoot not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 Doom Spears at the same time. Which brings us to our next level, which is Rail Canyon from Sonic Heroes. So it seems like they're going in order then. So first with the Sonic Adventure 2 level, now we're on Sonic Heroes. Alright, that makes sense. So that must mean that we got probably Shadow the Hedgehog 2005 level next, then 06, and then Forces, and then, I don't know, we'll see what comes next after that. I don't know. But yeah, Rail Canyon, despite it looking absolutely beautiful in Shadow Generations, because my god, that sunset, or whatever is it, sunrise? I don't know what is actually here. Gameplay wise, it's, there's a big problem here, which, funny enough, the rails. The reason having levels in Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes being fully based around rails worked so well was because rails actually had mechanics in those games, but you know, in the day 2024, rails have zero mechanics at all now, so having a full level based around rails was only gonna do exceptionally well if they gave the game rail mechanics, which obviously they didn't do. So I don't know, man, the rail parts of this level, they're just alright. But credit where credit is due. What they do with the Rhino bots that destroy the rails here is actually pretty cool with the use of chaos control here. These Rhino enemies appear many times throughout the stage destroying the rails with their spike balls or whatever. But using the power of chaos control, you can actually stop time to prevent them doing that, unlocking some brand new pathways, and I gotta admit, that's pretty cool. I really like that. If they're not gonna have the rails themselves have any decent mechanics, they can at least put mechanics surrounding these rails, and I think that's pretty good. That's at least something at least. But yeah, overall this opening section of the stage is pretty good. You got multiple pathways, you got those light rail things that they call light rails, I think that's what they're called in Heroes. You got some nice little train thing where you can actually stop using chaos control. Yeah, all seems to be going pretty well here. Yeah, wonder what could happen next. Huh, that's weird. That seems to be black. Wait, is this? Wait, we're back in Radical Highway again. Hey, well, what's all this about? I thought this was going to be like a one-time thing, where it wouldn't get old because it was a one-time thing, but they're doing it again. Why? I mean, alright, I guess it looks cool because, you know, it's daytime and the skydiving stuff is pretty cool here, because what they actually do here is actually really sick, by the way. Like, they have you skydiving in one direction, flip the gravity, to have you then skydiving in another direction. Like, that's actually pretty sick, I'm not even gonna lie. It's kind of like what Infinite was doing in Capital City and Forces, where he was flipping gravity, had those massive infinite golems, and yeah, that was pretty cool there, and it's even cooler here. But again, I came here to play Rail Canyon, not Radical Highway, so Doom, if you can just scoot on over and let us get back to Rail Canyon, please, that would be lovely, so bye-bye. And yeah, for the final portion of the stage back in Rail Canyon, we have some more rails, where we're being chased by those trains on the rails, and the stage ends. Now, one thing I will say I actually really like about this stage is how they kept that you can actually walk on the top of the roof in Rail Canyon. That's actually a real cool touch there. I gotta give them that, that's really cool. Upon beating Rail Canyon Act 1, we go straight to Rail Canyon Act 2. It's basically kind of like Classic City Escape from Sonic Generations, where we got trains chasing us, essentially. And all in all, not much to say about this level. It's just, yeah, just a good 2D level. Nice pathways here and there, good use of chaos control, yeah, good level, good level. After beating Rail Canyon Act 2, we are granted a brand new power, which is the Doom Blast. And honestly, I think this is the best power in the game. It opens up the levels so much more in my opinion, allowing you to unlock brand new shortcuts and pathways that weren't even intended. And then after getting the new power, you approach a boss gate. That's interesting. We've only done 2 levels. Usually in Generations it's 3 levels before a boss gate, but I guess this is a shorter game, makes sense. Alright, 2 levels, that's fine. But then, like Generations in this sense, we actually have some challenge gates, and then again, unlike Generations, in order to unlock all the boss gate keys, you need to do every single one of these challenge missions, which is I guess it's an interesting way to pad out the game, but I will say this is a bit of a low point of the game in my opinion. Every single one of these challenge missions are just simply okay. They usually consist of using Shadow's abilities to complete a certain task, whether it be defeat a certain amount of enemies, destroy targets, or just reach the goal in time. And compared to Sonic Generations, I've got to admit here, I do think the Sonic ones were better than the Shadow ones. The Shadow ones I would say are more consistent than the Sonic ones, but that's because they're consistently mediocre. Whereas with the Sonic ones, there are some genuinely great missions in there, but there are a handful of not so good ones in there as well. But what Sonic Generations has over Shadow Generations is that Sonic has 90 missions, whereas Shadow has a measly 30, which makes sense because there's less zones in this game, but it does mean that there are more bangers in Sonic Gens than Shadow Gens, because obviously Sonic Gens has more, so by default, I prefer the Sonic Generations missions here. And I do think that forcing you to do every single one of these missions in Shadow Generations was a bit of a mistake, because it's just unnecessary padding in my opinion. If you're going to make the game long, just add more content to it. Don't force it to do all the supposedly extra content just to advance the game. Like, I think that's just a bit stupid, and it really slows down the game between bosses. But what I find even sillier is that there's even more padding here, and you don't really think about it until until you've actually beaten the game. In order for these challenge gates to actually appear, you have to first go to the boss gate for the game to tell you that you have to actually do these challenges to unlock the keys to unlock this boss. When in Sonic Generations, after beating the final zone of each area, the challenges all spawn automatically, not requiring you to actually go to the boss for them to spawn in. And the reason I say this is actually unnecessary padding again is because later on in the game, to get to some of these boss gates is actually quite a trek to get there, so just having to go there to first spawn in these challenge missions is kind of annoying, so I wish they would have spawned in automatically after beating the second zone of each area, but whatever, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's still okay to traverse through these white space areas, which I'll talk about a bit later on, but it's just something I thought was kind of annoying. But yeah, beating all of these challenge missions unlocks the first boss of the game, which is actually the Bio Lizard. Now, as the first boss fight in this game, yeah, it's pretty good actually. I like how it starts out, you know, similar to the original Sonic Adventure 2 boss fight, you know, jumping over the ball things, running away from the mouth and then the tail, grinding on the life support tube thing, and then attacking the core. And then after that goes straight to a whole brand new phase I've never seen before. I will say though, I do think that they should have done the original part of the fight twice rather than once, just to make it feel more complete, but it's not a massive complaint or anything like that, it's fine. And with the new parts of the fight, it's actually pretty well designed. Phase 2 revolves on dodging the new Bowser arm bubble things, and then when he slams the ground, you attack those arms, homing attack your way to the core and rinse and repeat. Then Phase 3 sees you using the Chaos Spear to attack some purple clouds, I don't know what these things are, to fill up your chaos control meter. Then he throws a massive ball at you, you kick it back Dragon Ball Z style, and then you finish him off. Boom, job's a good one. Not the most in-depth boss fight of all time, but yeah, it's pretty decent for a first boss. I like how it has 3 phases, all have you doing different things, using all of Shadow's abilities by this point in the game. Yeah, pretty good. And shout out Ian Flynn for this, by the way. I actually really like the lines that Shadow says towards the Bowser here. Some people thought it was a bit weird seeing Shadow call him a tortured soul and telling him to put him out of his misery, but I thought that was actually pretty cool, honestly. Another shout out to Kirk Thornton as well. I absolutely love his Shadow voice in this entire game. He's done really, really well here. And the way he delivers these lines to the Bowser, yeah, you can really feel the heart and emotion in those lines. Shout out Kirk, man. Well go. After beating the Bowser, Shadow has his first proper encounter with Black Doom, where Doom basically says that he didn't come back because of the Time Eater, he came back on his own. Something very cool about this cutscene though is that the way Shadow is animated when meeting Black Doom in this cutscene is actually a one-to-one recreation of the way he met Black Doom for the first time back in Shadow the Hedgehog 2005. It just goes to show how far they went with the detail in this game, and also how far the cutscene animations actually come with this game as well. It looks nearly as good as the original CGI cutscene, and same goes for Shadow beating up Doom's eye. That's some good stuff right there, man. If it wasn't already obvious, this game's animation is superb. After this cutscene is over and done with, the rest of the white space is actually available for Shadow to explore, where he goes on to unlock the Doom Surf, allowing Shadow to, you know, surf across water. Now, as cool as the Doom Surf is, I'm gonna be honest with you, I do miss being able to just run on water without any abilities, you know, from Sonic Generations and Sonic Unleashed. I do really miss that. I find it stupid how they're making out as if surfing on water is like a brand new ability for Shadow, because it really isn't, because that used to be an ability that the game's actually allowed us to do, but now that's been removed, they're trying to make out like it's like some sort of brand new ability that we've never been seen before, which it isn't. I think Shadow should have been able to run on water without the Doom Surf in this game anyways, and then when you unlock the Doom Surf, obviously that's actually going to be an upgrade to running on water, because you can now just surf on it without using your boost, and you can just do it without having to worry about dying in the water, because now you can just surf on it. But that complaint aside, the Doom Surf is it's an alright ability. It's used pretty well. You can do the sidestep with it, you can go at a decent speed with it, and they bring back the ramps from City Escape along with it, so it's an alright ability. But let's actually start talking about the white space in Shadow Generations. How is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it better than Frontier's open zones? What is the story with the white space in this game? Now let's get this first thing out of the way. I do not think the white space in Shadow Generations is better than any open zone in Frontiers. It just simply isn't. There was just a lot more going on in the Frontiers open zones that are just more interesting than the white space, so let's just get that clear out of the way. These are not better than any Frontiers open zone. But for what it's trying to be, the Shadow Generations open zone is alright. It's essentially a 3D version of the white space in Sonic Generations, but that was 2D, but obviously now it's in 3D. And since this is in 3D now, they can be a lot more in depth with it too. One thing though, I will say that I like this over the Frontiers open zone is the aesthetic. Despite everything being, you know, a white space, it's very aesthetically pleasing here. Nothing really looks that ugly, apart from the water though. I will say the water is not the greatest. and that's going to be a problem later on, which we'll talk about then. But yeah, apart from that, the way all the environments are mixed in together, because you got like the different objects from like Space Colony Ark, Rail Canyon, Kingdom Valley, all those mixed into this one place, and yeah, it's pretty nice actually. I will say though, Shadow's very gimped speed is quite painful to use. Sadly, the rail launching from Sonic Frontiers has actually pretty much been removed here. You can still technically launch a bit off rails, but the speed you get in this game is nowhere near compared to the amount of speed you get in Sonic Frontiers, leading to the white space in Shadow Generations to be quite a slog to get through because Shadow is just so damn slow. Unlocking the Doom Wings later on leads to the white space being a bit easier to traverse with it not being as slow, but despite that, on the ground at least anyways, you're still going to be feeling very, very slow. And because of how slow you are, I'm going to be honest with you, the white space does lead to be a bit boring. Even if a lot of the platforming here is technically a bit better than Sonic Frontiers because it's not as automated, the speed really just make it feel boring. It just isn't that fun to traverse this thing because you can't use your speed to get through it quickly because Shadow's speed is non-existent. He's so darn slow. But where the main appeal of this white space comes in are the collectibles. Similar to Sonic Generations, Shadow Generations also has a collection where you can unlock concept art, music, see the past cutscenes, even pages of Gerald's journal, which are all unlocked through chests you can find in the white space. And to unlock these chests as well, you need to collect these keys from the levels, basically this game's red star rings, which can also be found in the challenge levels, which I do think is actually something these levels have over the Sonic Generations levels, because the Sonic Generations' challenge levels didn't really have much reason to replay them, but at least in Shadow Generations you have the collectibles there, so that's some reason to actually go back to them at least. Now also in the Shadow Generations white space is actually a side quest, featuring Orbot and Cubot on some sort of rocket that you need to find the machine parts for to actually help and rebuild. And these machine parts, there are 80 of them, scattered throughout the entirety of the white space. They could literally be anywhere. And can I just say, these machine parts are the bane of my existence. Goddamn screw these things, man. I hate them with a burning passion. The reason these things are so flippin' annoying to find is because they're basically memory tokens from Sonic Frontiers, but you can't see them on the map. So you're basically searching for 80 of these stupid little things which could literally be anywhere without any sense of direction as to where they could be. And when you're down to 79 out of 80 of these things, and you're trying to find one minuscule little thing throughout this entire open zone, you actually want to sit there and tear your hair out. And now you might be wondering, okay, since it's so difficult, the reward for finding all these things and giving them to Orbot and Cubot must be quite grand, no? Well, you know what, screw you, and screw me too, I guess, because do you know what you get for doing all this? That's right, nothing. Absolutely gosh darn nothing, is what I would say if I was a goddamn liar. Because the reward for this is actually quite great actually, it's actually made it so worth my while. Here, I'll show you a clip of what I actually got when I actually did it for the first time. That's all we get. That's all we get. We get the worst remix of supporting me for doing all that. Save that right the hell now. Oh my god, I can't believe what I've just done. You lot actual jokes, bro. If I could kill you right now, I would. Whoever came up with this stupid ass reward, you better start running, mate. I am coming for you. Lock your doors, because I am stood right outside your house, and I am going to give you the biggest handshake of your life. Thank you for this amazing reward. Thank you for this reward. Really, I love this one. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me there. Sorry about that. This is getting very emotional there. The final thing in regards to the open zone in Shadow Generations are the ring and time trials. There are in total 10 of these challenges for you to do spread out this open zone. 2 time trials and 8 ring trials. But the time trials, you go around the entire open zone collecting clocks before the time runs out, and I must say, these can get quite challenging, especially with the hard mode versions, which we'll talk about a bit later on, but yeah, these are pretty fun, I like these ones. Then with the ring trials, you have to collect a certain amount of rings in a set amount of time, and these ones aren't great, I'm gonna be honest with you. These ones are quite flipping boring, but it is what it is, I guess. I'd rather have them here than not here, so is something, and for doing all these you once again get more artwork and music. Anyways, white space out of the way, let's go on to the next level, which is Kingdom Valley from Sonic Go 6. Now, the original Kingdom Valley, in my opinion, is a very high bar to beat because it's the second greatest Sonic stage of all time, so naturally it was always going to be a hard stage to beat, but surprisingly, Shadow Generations, they actually did not surpass it. Not surprising at all, actually. I was joking with you. Yeah, despite not living up to the original Kingdom Valley, it's not a bad stage at all, actually. It's pretty good. Most definitely the best stage in the game so far. This stage's gimmick is pretty much the Doom serve, using it to go across the water, to use ramps, and hit the air rails from the original 06, and yeah, overall, not a bad stage. You've got your eagles in there, plenty of multiple pathways, and some good uses of the Doom blast as well. I will say though, the final section that's supposed to be imitating the max speed was utterly disappointing. It was way too short to be even compared to the original max speed section from 06. And then there's no jumping across the walls, no even running on the walls. Like, this is honestly an insult to the original 06's max speed section, in my opinion. It doesn't feel grand or anything. Like, they don't even change the music to the original max speed music either. Like, there's just no grand feeling about this at all. And what really hurts it, in my opinion, is the visuals. Despite 06 being graphically dated, I don't know what it is about the 06 version, but something about it is just a lot more visually appealing and impressive than this one right here. I think the biggest thing about the visuals here is just the water. The entirety of the water in Kingdom Valley just looks absolutely disgusting. I mean, just look at it. It looks like some sort of PS2 water or something. Like, there's no reflections on it or anything. It just looks flipping ugly. And it's weird too, because before Shadow Generations, water in Sonic games looked absolutely beautiful. Like in Forces Mystic Jungle, looked beautiful there. Kronos and Rio Island in Frontiers, beautiful looking water there. So what happened here? I don't know. This looks awful, mate. I hate this water. Honestly, Kingdom Valley in general just looks worse than the original 6 in my opinion. The lighting might be better, and this whole cloud section here, I think this looks absolutely beautiful too, but apart from that, the 06 version just looks better. Everything just looks a bit washed out in the Shadow Generations version, and same goes for Sunset Heights and Space Colony Arc as well. Both of those look so washed out compared to their original counterparts in my opinion. I've talked about this before the game's release, but there's some sort of piss filter on this entire game, making it all look washed out. Like, I've seen screenshots where you just remove the piss filter and all the colour comes back to the game. It's insane, but yeah, that's just an issue with the game's visuals in my opinion. Anyways, moving on, we have Kingdom Valley Act 2, and actually, this is actually a fantastic 2D stage, I'm gonna be honest. Some stages in Shadow Generations have it where the 2D stage is actually better than the 3D stage, and I think that Kingdom Valley is one of those instances. The 2D stage is just really good. The level design has a nice flow to it, there's a lot of pathways here with the Doom launch, you've got nice platforming here, some pretty good gimmicks, and visually, it actually looks pretty nice as well. Maybe not so much the first part of the stage, but when you start going inside the church looking area, that is actually really beautiful in my opinion. And then for the final part of the stage, you're all high amongst these churches in the air, eagles flying you about everywhere too. Like, it's a very beautiful looking stage. Even with the piss filter here, this still looks beautiful as opposed to Act 1. And yeah, overall, Kingdom Valley Act 2, man. What stage? Even the music remix here. Act 1's remix is alright, I guess. It's not a bad remix. I prefer the original Kingdom Valley over it. But with Act 2, even though I still do prefer the original over it, I actually do really like Act 2's song as a remix. Yeah, I could listen to that song and still be satisfied. Happy with that one. Yeah, just overall, Kingdom Valley Act 2, just a really good stage in general. No complaints about it at all, really. It's a perfect length as well. Yeah, pretty good stage. Once Kingdom Valley has been beaten, we see Big the Chad, who has somehow ended up in white space because of course he has. He's Big the Cat. Somehow ended up in cyberspace and Frontiers, so him ending up here in white space seems like something normal Big would do. I really do like how we just have Big turning up in random situations in the most craziest of places. We should keep this going in future Sonic games, please. This is actually really funny. Keep doing it. More Big the Cat. I'm here for it. Sadly, there is no fishing minigame, and Shadow doesn't even seem to really say anything to Big. I would have liked to see that interaction, but people claim that he seems to be smiling at Big. I don't think it's much of a smile, but maybe I'm not looking hard enough into it. It just looks like a regular standing pose to me, but if he actually is smiling at Big, then, I mean, it's Big the Cat, so even the grumpiest person like Shadow would smile at him. Yeah, I can see that. Then the next stage we are brought to is Sunset Heights, where there is not a single 2D section in Act 1. But despite there not being many 2D sections, I do think that Sunset Heights Act 1, even though it is better than the Forces version, I think it might be one of the weakest stages in the game. Even though Sunset Heights has been placed into a game with better controls and better level design philosophies, I still think it keeps some of that Forces DNA here and not in a good way. The stage is still very linear, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but but most of this level is just going in a straight line with either a small top path and mostly a bottom path. It gets more interesting after this cool looking cutscene where Shadow is dodging these Death Egg Sentinels as we venture to the sewers, where it was only explored a bit in Forces with the bit of Red Great Bridge in there and Ghost Town, but now it's been fleshed out a bit more here in Shadow Generations. But despite all that, it's just a bit underwhelming, and you wanna know why it's so underwhelming? Because, you know, Sunset Heights is still a good level, but right as you start getting into it, boom! Radical Highway! Who's up for some Radical Highway, boys? Oh yeah! Definitely not getting tired of this now. Oh yeah. Why are we here? Doom. This is the third time this week you brought us back to Radical Highway. What's your problem, man? I came here to play Sunset Heights. It's literally in the name of the stage. Why are you sat here bringing us to Radical Highway for the third time in the game? I'm getting sick of it now. And another question. Why do you always interrupt the 3D stages? Let them play out for a bit, man. You left Kingdom Valley alone, but you couldn't leave anything else alone? Like, interrupt Sunset Heights 2D, man. We don't care about 2D. It ruined that for us, but not the 3D, man. And it's not like the Radical Highway sections are bad or anything like that. Visually, again, they look cool. At least they change the time of day in every single one of these sections, but I just want to stay in the original stage that I came here to play, not go to Radical Highway over and over again. If you're gonna keep interrupting the stage that I'm in, at least switch it up from Radical Highway over and over again, man. Like, please, anything. Give us anything else but Radical Highway, Black Doom. Because I can tell you for a fact right now, this is not the last time we're going to be seeing this zone. Oh no, we're going to be seeing it again. And we're just so sick of it, man. Just let us play the level we came here to play. And the worst part about it is that as soon as this Radical Highway section ends, so does the stage. We don't get to see any more of Sunset Heights in 3D, which was, again, annoying because I was having such a great time in Sunset Heights, it got interrupted by Radical Highway and now the stage is over. Like, what the hell, man? See, all in all, the Sunset Heights part of Sunset Heights, I can't believe I actually have to say that, but yeah, they're just not that amazing. They're just very basic in my opinion. I will say, there is some cool little gimmicks here where you have to stop time using Chaos Control to freeze these Death Egg Sentinels thingies that they're throwing at you to get higher pathways, but the levels on here are still not great. They just feel like a Forces level still just with better controls, which is not really what I wanted to see. I thought Sunset Heights was going to get done Dutch, we're talking Dutch now? No, I thought it was going to get done justice here, but no. We're left with another iteration of Sunset Heights where the potential was once again wasted. Forces can't get a break, man. It really cannot. Anyways, moving on from Act 1, we go to Act 2 with obviously 2D. Now, credit where credit is due once again. I like how they changed it to where this entire stage is now in the rain, and what's even cooler is that there's a bit of environmental storytelling here where now the entire place is pretty much flooded. You got a lot of Doom surf sections here now because all these pathways are all covered with water now because obviously the rain's here, and now that the city is destroyed, there's no way to have like a proper sewage system or anything like that. So yeah, it's all over flooded, and yeah, that's pretty cool, honestly. I'll give them that. And yeah, this is really like a standard 2D section, honestly. Nothing incredible again with Sunset Heights. It does become visually interesting once again in the 2D stage where you go to the underground sewer system, and I'm sat there wishing I could play that in 3D. Because, you know, Act 1 got cut off so quickly. And that's really a big problem I have with the 2D stage in this game, honestly. Like, they look so cool, sometimes even cooler than the 3D stage, and it's just me sat there like, this looks so cool, I want to play it in 3D though. But yeah, the gimmick of this stage is pretty much, once again, the Doom Surf, but also, the Death Egg Sentinels in the background actually destroy the platforms that you're actually trying to jump on, so pretty cool gimmick right there, more than Forces at least anyways, rather than just being in the background actually attacking the stage now. After beating Sunset Heights, we get a brand new cutscene where Maria is about to die once again, this time not by the bullet, but this time by the claw. And upon seeing this, of course, Shadow just goes to hell with these lot. Kills them. And then Maria and Shadow, and even Gerald actually, all reunite for the first time in what, 50 years in Shadow's lifetime? And now you know the drill, since we've done 2 levels, we gotta go to the boss gate and see that, oh, we do some more challenge gates, and then you do those, go to the boss fight, and whoop-a-doo, it's Metal Overlord, the GOAT. But not only that, we're fighting him in, Chemical Plant. Oh wait, no, got you there. This is not actually a Chemical Plant, it's actually a Final Fortress, guys. And you didn't believe it at first, but trust me, this is a Final Fortress. Yeah, you'll never believe it. Because you shouldn't believe it, this is not Final Fortress. Because it's actually the ruins of Final Fortress, because, you know, it was in the sky, fell to the water, and this is now the ruins. You can see because how everything is destroyed and everything like that, yeah. Come to think of it, actually, where is the damage if these are the ruins of Final Fortress, actually? I ain't seen no damage here. Wait a second. Sega, did you reuse acid from Chemical Plant for Metal Sonic bosses again? You pulled the same thing with Metal Sonic in Sonic Generations, and you're doing it again? Why is Metal Sonic always got to be done dirty with the assets here? Like, could we please leave Metal Sonic alone, keep the Chemical Plant away from him? Anyways, that aside, the Metal Overlord boss fight is using the Doom Surf, because now we're on water, obviously, and it's an alright boss fight. But the boss fight being half on rails, technically, it's a pretty engaging fight. Depending on how good at the game you are, you decide how long you spend on rails by either using the ramps to go ahead and attack Metal Overlord head first, or spinning back pieces of debris at him, and yeah, all in all, first section, pretty fun. But then of course the wretched 2D, where honestly the boss fight goes kinda downhill. It is still engaging, but it's more just wait for him to have an opening, do the same thing he did in 3D, but 2D now hit stuff back at him, and it's an alright boss fight. I think I prefer Bylethid, to be honest with you, but we still get to hear the cool voice lines written by the man himself, Ian Flynn, where Metal Sonic is now claiming that he is now the real Sonic and the true ultimate life form, Shadow having his classic banter saying, "Huh, ultimate life form? Who do you think you are, dude? I'm the ultimate life form, heh." What am I doing? Flipping out. What really sells these lines from Metal Overlord to me is honestly the voice actor. I actually really enjoy Metal Sonic's voice here. Some people might not mess with it because obviously it's not the same as the original, but me personally, I think it's great. Metal Sonic sounds so full of himself and I absolutely love it. Yeah, really like the voice here. Does a great job. After beating Metal Overlord, we get another cutscene where Gerald basically explains to Shadow that he made a deal with Black Doom, but obviously we know that Shadow already knows that, but Maria does not, and he's basically explaining that, yeah, Black Doom is gonna attempt to take over Shadow's body and turn Shadow into his own ultimate warrior, but of course, because Shadow's ultimate life form, he explains that Black Doom is a fool. I take this power, and I use it as me own. Oh yeah. No, seriously, why am I doing this? Am I stupid? What's wrong with me? Anyways, after this cutscene, we get to unlock the next Doom power, which is the Squid, which is less commonly known as the Doom Morph, which allows Shadow to morph into this squid thing, and he becomes Spider-Man, basically. But not really, as we'll find out later on. Because the tutorials for this Doom Morph seem okay at first, but later on when trying to do some things in the game, you realise that this tutorial right here was terrible, because they did not explain the full extent of the Doom Squid's moveset. What the game doesn't tell you is that you can actually launch upwards by releasing the X button when you're directly underneath the blob. So that's how you do that for people who didn't know. Yeah, thank you game for not explaining that. Good job. But yeah, this leads us into the next stage, which is... what? Why the hell is Chaos Island here? And why the hell is the music so horrible? Brother, who the hell made this and thought this was okay? Get that man out of the studio, bro. They were cooking nothing, mate. RBU remix, more like well, I don't land at all. So yeah, Chaos Island is here, and if you're looking for the explanation for why it's here, it's simple. It was easy to reuse assets from the latest game, Sonic Frontiers. I mean, I ain't complaining because I'll take some more content, but yeah, just thought that was interesting. So yeah, Chaos Island Act 1. This is a very controversial stage in the Sonic fandom right now. Usually people hate this stage on a first time playthrough because the game fails to explain how the squid works. So you sat there fumbling around, dying here and there because you don't understand how it works because the game didn't teach you it properly. But upon learning how it actually works and going back, you start to realise that, hang on a minute, no, wait. Guys, wait, I can see the vision now. This stage is actually so darn okay. Even though it's fun using and abusing using and abusing the squid. Calm down, Unleash. What kind of game are we playing here? Flipping out. But yeah, as much as it is fun learning how the squid works or whatever, the level design here is still pretty basic, I would say. I mean, when you're not doing the squid, whoa, doing the squid, oof. When you're not using the squid, whoa! When you're not in squid form, the stage is just a lot of homing attack chains. I mean, sure, there are some alternate pathways and some nice use of chaos control and a bit of doom spear, but it's just a lot of basic platforming in my opinion. I mean, the squid isn't that interesting to have a whole stage revolve around in my opinion. Like, it's alright as a gimmick, but it can't carry a whole stage, so Chaos Island, despite being a pretty fun stage once you actually learn how the squid works, it is still pretty basic in my opinion. And the same goes for Act 2 really, it's just the same thing as Act 1 but this time in 2D, a lot of squid and a lot of kind of just basic 2D level design. This might be the weakest 2D stage in the game in my opinion, like, it's just not that great. It's just alright. Just alright. And after beating Chaos Island, Shadow somehow ends up in Sonic's white space and oh look, there he is, the blue rat. Where of course, because this is following the Sonic Generations timeline where Sonic needs the emerald from Shadow, so he's come here to fight him. Okay, I can get down with this. That's not a little Sonic boss fight. I see you, okay. Wait, what's going on? Wait, that was really, wait, what? Why can't I play? Wait, oh, whoa! I wanna play that, hey! What's going on? Is this a cutscene? What the hell? Yeah, there was no Sonic boss fight in this game, despite what the marketing looked like it was telling us that was going to be in this game. It's just a cutscene, so if it's just a cutscene, why even show it in the trailers at all? That's my question. But yeah, of course, Shadow tries to use his Doom powers in Sonic, obviously, to keep the timeline safe and not mess up anything. Shadow hesitates in using it because he's realised that, hang on, let's not be a complete douche here, but Sonic does not hesitate and he goes straight in for the kill, knocking Shadow onto his face and grabbing his emerald. Little would Sonic know that the Chaos Emerald that he just grabbed was in fact not the real one, but instead the fake one that Shadow found at the start of the game. Shadow, you little cheeky little hedgehog. So cheeky and little, I had to say a little twice. Oh yeah, Rouge is here by the way. She just appears out of nowhere, and now she's just in Shadow's white space as well. Both in Sonic's white space. Rouge, is there something to tell us here, mate? Why is there two of you? What's going on? But of course, now that we've done one zone of this area, the next zone is... Wait. There's no next zone. Wait, why are we going to the boss? Wait, what? What's going on? What happened to the second zone? Hey, what's going on? So, yeah, now we're starting to see where the catch of this game finally is, because it's actually the length of the game, because this is now the final zone in the game. Wait a second, but we haven't seen a Shadow of 5 level yet. Oh, you know what? I know exactly what they're going to do, guys. Trust me. So, hear me out. We haven't seen a Shadow of 5 level yet because... after this next boss, we're gonna go to the Black Comet, which is of course the Shadow of 5 level, and then we fight Black 2. Oh, it makes so much... oh yeah, this is genius. Okay, I see what they're doing here, Alright, I can get down with this. So yeah, we do some more challenge mission stuff, get more keys, and then go to fight the third boss of the game, which is Mephiles? Ooh! So yeah, we're fighting Mephiles now, hell yeah. Don't know how the hell you ended up here, mate. Guess it's timeline stuff, you're supposed to be dead, but hey, we're fighting Mephiles now. Sick! And honestly, I might be joking around here, but this boss fight is actually pretty sick, I ain't gonna lie. The voice lines that Mephiles is given here is so flippin' sick. He's not just fighting Shadow for no reason. He's fighting to get back into the timeline, because Mephiles in Sonic 06 was erased from the timeline, so now he's fighting to get back in there by defeating Shadow here. That is so flippin' sick. I actually love the concept of this boss fight so much. And I wasn't too hot on Mephiles' voice actor at first, but he has grown on me a little bit, I'll give him that. So the whole gimmick of this boss fight is the Doom Squid. And yeah, we use that to go ahead and attack Mephiles. He creates the clones of himself, yep. Typical Mephiles stuff there. Then he pulls out this monster looking thing, which is from the original Mephiles boss fight. Cool little nod there. And then you kill the clones and that's really about it. And then you end with a sick looking cutscene where Mephiles has been put to sleep and never to return again. And as a boss fight, I think the Mephiles one might be the most fun one, but unfortunately it is the easiest one. If you use Chaos Control at the right time, this boss fight really is not a challenge in the slightest. Like, it's so darn easy. And it is a shame too because it's for Mephiles, so he's supposed to be the other half of Solaris, so the fact that it's such an easy pushover here really just leaves you not thinking much of him really. It's kind of like Infinite a bit, where he's a bit of a pushover in this game even though he bloated all that power. But something I want to talk about with Mephiles' boss fight, his boss gate is actually unique from all the other ones because it's actually hidden away underground in his own little cave, which actually plays a bit of his music from his cutscenes in 06. And this actually builds up the tension so darn well for Mephiles because, I mean, come on, it's Mephiles. He is no pushover, so the fact that actually giving him this much hype with his boss gate, it was so sick. If only they didn't ruin the surprise with him by showing him in the trailers, huh? Because yeah, up until this point, everything that we've played so far has been shown in the trailers, which is very disappointing in my opinion. This build up to Mephiles really could have meant something if they did just show him in the trailer. Like, it was that easy, just don't show him there, this means so much more. But no, they opt to ruin the surprise by just showing him in a trailer and then having all this cool build up mean absolutely nothing to those of us who are actually paying attention to the marketing. What the hell, Sega? This is such a cool surprise that you just ruined. Congratulations. Anyways, after beating Mephiles, a new cutscene starts to play where we see that Black Doom finally shows his face to both Gerald and Maria now, bloating that Shadow's efforts are useless and that he will be his. And something really cool about this cutscene is that Shadow is increasingly getting angry, and Maria looks very worried at this. A cool little touch because technically by this point, Maria's never actually seen Shadow get so angry. Shadow is out here for cold-blooded revenge. He is going to slice Black Doom's head straight off the neck, mate, clean off there. And of course, upon seeing this, Maria calms Shadow down. She hates to see Shadow so angry like this, and reveals that his name has a meaning. She didn't just name Shadow for no reason. In fact, I'll let her tell you herself.
Do you know why I named you Shadow? Because without light, there's only darkness. But a shadow will show you where to find the light.
Oh bullcrap, Maria, spare us the lies. We know exactly why you named this guy Shadow. You named him Shadow because he was lactose intolerant. Yeah. I mean, milk is white, Shadow is lactose intolerant, so naturally he doesn't like the colour white. Opposite of white is black. Yeah, makes sense, call him Shadow. Yeah. What? What did you think I was gonna say, huh? You thought I was gonna talk about Shadow's race? Oh my god. You horrible person. Just who do you think you are, mate? Leave. The door's there, mate. Go. After Shadow being calmed down by Maria's beautiful words, Shadow goes off to go and unlock the Doom Wing. I thought we unlocked that, like, at the start of the game. Why are we just now getting them? That's weird. But whatever, we got the Doom Wings now. Look pretty flippin' sick. And can I just say, Kirk Thornton's voice acting in these little cutscenes when he gets a new power is absolutely incredible. This man knows how to pull off a blood-curdling scream. Just listen to this, man.
No!
And upon unlocking the Doom Wings, the whole sky turns red because this black moon thing... Oh yeah, forgot about that thing. So yeah, this entire game there's some sort of doom moon in the sky that is getting more unlocked the more stages you complete, and yeah, now it's fully awakened. So yeah, now that Shadow's at full power, Black Doom is also at full power because they are linked by blood, because obviously as we know, Shadow's been given the DNA of Black Doom, so it's now time for the final showdown. Doom wants Shadow to come to him, to face him, and once again we get an insane scream by Kirk Thornton. Listen to it, man, again. Brother, this guy is nearly 70 years old. How is he pulling off screams like this? Give this man a prize or something. Kudos, Kirk Thornton, man. But by this point, Shadow's now overcome all the destructive anger, as he tells Maria everything's okay now. She doesn't have to worry, and for the second time in his life, Shadow does a full-on smile at Maria, the first being in Sonic Forces of all games. And Shadow smiling, when he does that, you know he means it, because Shadow never smiles. He's too cool to smile. And then Shadow goes off to fly to the Black Moon, where, yeah, it's now time for the final level, boys. Who's ready for some Black Comet, boys? I'm ready. Here we... Is this flipping Radical Highway? Again? For crying out loud, man! Where's Black Comet, bro? It's okay, Unleash. Maybe Act 2 will be Black Comet. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Is this Radical Highway again? Where's Black... Blah, 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 blah. Where's the Shadow 05 level? This is Shadow Generations. How are you not having a Shadow 05 level in here, bro? There's no way. You've been reusing Shadow the Hedgehog 2005 music throughout the entirety of these cutscenes, bro. Where is the Shadow 05 level? This has to be a joke. Surely there's another level after this, right? It has to be the Black Comet. It has to be. No, it's the final boss now. Are you serious? So yeah, this basically means that they showed off every single stage, every single boss fight in the marketing for the game. They left nothing as a surprise, and why? I don't get it. The game is so small to begin with, and yet you show off everything in the marketing, ruining every single possible surprise this game had to offer. That is just bad marketing in my opinion. You were not supposed to show everything that your piece of media has to offer in the trailers. They're supposed to show enough to convince you to go ahead and purchase that piece of media, but no. That's not what they did with this game's marketing. They showed off literally everything, man. Like, a lot of us was sold just on the second trailer alone. You'd have to go and spoil everything now. Man... darn it. But as a stage, Radical Highway is the best stage in the game, to be fair to it, even though... Why is it Radical Highway, man? You see, this is why I was so annoyed by them shoving Radical Highway into Sunset Heights and Rail Canyon, because it's already overdone by this point. We've seen Radical Highway in Space Colony Arc Act 1. That is the only place, in my opinion, where it actually worked fine. I didn't mind it there at all, but not for the second, third, and now the fourth and fifth time. And why does Doom care about Radical Highway so much as well? Surely he'd bring back Westopolis instead, because, you know, that was the first place that he was ever seen, and also the last place he was ever seen before he came back. Like, does that not make any more sense to anybody else? Radical Highway and Westopolis visually look basically the same as well. Both city things that take place at night. Just destroy Radical Highway a bit more and boom, you got your Westopolis right there. Like, yeah, I get that Radical Highway is iconic because it's the first level that Shadow ever went through, but come on, Westopolis. Shadow 05. There's no stage representation here. But yeah, whatever, we'll actually talk about the stage now, despite my major disappointment here. Yeah, Radical Highway, as I said earlier, is the best stage in the game because it actually focuses on platforming, complex level design, and then you get to use the Doom Wings here too. All pretty great stuff here. There's a lot of Doom Blast stuff here, which I'm a big fan of because that is the best power in the game in my opinion, and yeah, both acts, both 3D as well by the way. I really do like how they made Act 2 for this not 2D, made it 3D, making sure that the final level of the game actually has some impact by not being in 2D, so thank God for that, and yeah, all in all, pretty good zone right there, despite my disappointment again. Which brings us to the final boss with Devil Doom, where we're using all of Shadow's Doom powers to fight against Black Doom. Just joking, because that is a darn lie. We only use 3 out of 5 Doom powers against this boy. We use Doom Surf, the Squid, and then the Doom Wings, leaving Doom Launch and Doom Spear untouched here, unfortunately. And what's even stranger is that the Doom Surf part of this boss fight seems very familiar, doesn't it? Let's see here. We're swiping to hit things back into the boss. We're jumping off ramps to hit the boss. Hang on a second. Isn't this just the Metal Sonic boss fight again? This is this Forces situation all over again. The final Infinite fight in Forces uses the Metal Sonic boss fight in that game, and now in this game, Devil Doom is using the Metal Sonic boss fight in his fight now. Like, what is going on here, bro? Why is it always Metal Sonic? If it's not Chemical Pan used for his boss fights, people using his boss fights as well. Leave the guy alone, bro, for crying out loud. But yeah, thankfully only phase 1 of this boss fight was reused with the Doom Surf, so that's something. The second phase is using the Doom Squid, where you have to platform to go ahead and hit the Devil Doom. And then once you finish doing that, you get a third phase where Devil Doom turns into Neo Devil Doom. Seems familiar once again, Yeah, for the final phase, we obviously use the Doom Wings in a pretty much pseudo supersonic boss fight, but this time with no super, it's just Doom Wings. And as a way to have a supersonic fight without the Chaos Emeralds, yeah, pretty smart way to go about it. I respect it. And I bet you're wondering what the boss fight music here is, because obviously for phase 1 and 2, it's of course Black Doom's original boss fight music from Shadow 05, makes sense, and then for Neo Devil Doom, it is strangely All Hail Shadow. Now I say strangely because I thought it was going to be I Am All of Me or an entirely new track. If it was going to be a remix, I Am All of Me would make more sense in my opinion because, you know, I Am All of Me was the boss fight music for Devil Doom in Shadow 05, so why switch it to All Hail Shadow? I don't know. Would have been nice to get an I Am All of Me remix for a change, but All Hail Shadow works too, I guess. But then after doing this phase, the boss fight ends with, once again, another cool cutscene, but hang on. Wow. Why is this cutscene stretched? This isn't the first time either, I forgot to mention it earlier, but one of the early cutscenes in the game with the Doom Blast also had a stretched cutscene. This way just took me out of it immediately, because, like, why is the cutscene stretched? I thought this game was supposed to be polished, man. What's going on? But yeah, I can't help but notice that, once again, we didn't use the Doom Blast or the Doom Spears in this boss fight. And I really do think that this boss fight was a bit too easy and a bit short, in my opinion. So here's what I would say you could do in the future. Why don't you just have, like, a regular Black Doom fight, where it's in his base form, where you use, I don't know, Doom Spears and Doom Launch against him? I mean, since we're open to reusing things now with the Metal Sonic boss fight, just reuse a bit of Mephiles, where you have the Doom Spear and stuff there, and Doom Blast, and just do that for Black Doom. I think that doing that would make the boss fight feel more complete in my opinion, because when it eventually ended, I was sat there thinking, there's more, right? Like, that can't be it, because for some reason in the third phase of the boss fight, Shadow does so much damage in each one of his punches against Neo Devil Doom, which again I find a bit weird, so why not just have a regular Black Doom part of the fight, then go to Devil Doom, then Neo Devil Doom? That would make it feel truly complete. But yeah, to end off Neo Devil Doom and send him back to the Shadow Realm, Shadow pierces through his heart, and for some reason Neo Devil Doom explodes. Why did that happen? I mean, it's funny as hell, but why? And yeah, now that Black Doom is dead, this time for real, totally, Shadow loses Doom powers, which makes sense, I guess, because this game takes place at the same time as Sonic Generations, meaning that games have taken place afterwards, so if Shadow still had his Doom powers here canonically, it'd be a bit strange in the future games why he didn't use those, so yeah, it makes sense. And now that Shadow's business is done, he gets through to send back the Emerald back to Sonic, and Shadow goes back to settle his things with Maria and Gerald, who seem to be disappearing, which makes sense, because, yeah, everything's sorted now, so they'll be back off to their own point in time, and we get probably the best moment in the entire game, in my opinion. Shadow realizes that he's gonna lose Maria and Gerald again just after getting them back, and he tries to stop them. He tries to go and get Rouge back, use Chaos Control, stop this moment in time, but no. Maria tells Shadow that his friends need him and he needs to go back to them. And Shadow tries to tell Maria that she doesn't know what's going to happen, but no. Maria, being the sweet innocent soul that she is, tells Shadow that she doesn't care what happens. She knows that they'll meet up once again, and Shadow accepts this and runs off with a tear in his eye, and I don't really have a joke or anything about that. That was just good. Ian Flynn, you're a goat, man. Sonic characters are finally allowed to cry again. And the first one to do it is Shadow the Hedgehog. That's crazy. And yeah, that is Shadow Generations, boys. That's that. And I'm sat here feeling a bit like the way I was feeling at the end of Sonic Forces. Wanting more. Shadow Generations really is just bittersweet, man. It really is. The game is so good. Boss fights, level design, not so much music. Story, I think, would have been fleshed out a bit more. We didn't get to see much, but what was there was brilliant. But I'm just sat here wanting more. The game was too short-lived, man. And I get it. This is only half of a game right now because it's packaging with Sonic Generations. It's called Sonic X Shadow Generations for a reason. So, as sad as it is, this game was never going to be this massive campaign or something like that. But no, it's just a 3-hour campaign, same as Sonic Generations, and boom. That's it. And it really is a shame because I'll bring it up once more. They showed off the whole game in the marketing. I do think this really did sour my experience at the end of it because I was sat there realizing that the whole game, I've seen it already before playing it. I knew exactly what stages were going to be in this game and the boss fights. And obviously before I actually played the game, I was sat there thinking that there's got to be more. A Sonic boss fight, a Shadow of 5 level, like, it would make sense, right? Maybe even an Infinite fight, rest in peace Infinite, by the way, no Infinite fight in this game. And I can't really just sit here and blame the game, or the developers, because it's not their fault I'm sat here wanting more. Because, again, it's half of a game. This is Sonic X Shadow Generations, not just Shadow Generations. And part of the reason why this game is such quality is because there wasn't much quantity here. They didn't overblow the game with things that they couldn't finish, no. They settled for quality over quantity and made sure that they couldn't bite off more than they could chew. And for that, even though it hurts me inside, because I want more, this game is so bittersweet, so sweet, and yet so bitter. But at the end of the day, I can't complain. It's not the game's or the developer's fault. They did what they needed to do. They made a Shadow the Hedgehog game that was ready to be released for Sonic Movie 3, so that those brand new fans from that movie are able to play a game all about Shadow where they can learn more in depth about his character and his past. And it hurts. It actually hurts. I'm sorry, it actually hurts so much. I need more of this game, bro. I need more. And thankfully, after beating the game, there technically is with the Doom Zone. Yeah, that's right, this game has a hard mode. Didn't see that coming, but I'm very glad that there is. In the Doom Zone, there are a whole horde of new challenges for you to play, and all the boss fights have been cranked up to hard mode. Sadly not for Devil, Doom, or even any of the regular stages, but even the challenges in the White Space has actually been doubled to hard mode as well. And can I just say, some of those time trials in the Doom Zone, ooh-wee, those are tough ones, man. They took me like, I want to say like an hour in total to get both of them done, because there's only 2, and my god, they are hard at first when you don't know where to go and how to do it. You need the Doom Wings to do these things, and I respect it so much for them actually putting hard mode in here, man. It's so well done. But yeah, that really is it for this game now. So, Sonic X Shadow Generations, how far we have come, man. The Sonic Generations remaster part of this whole package, very underwhelming, I'm gonna be honest. It's very underwhelming. It's not much of a remaster. The changes they brought weren't really that necessary, and not much of the game that you wanted them to fix was fixed at all, like the Time Eater. They didn't fix that at all, so that was a bit underwhelming. But then Shadow Generations blew me and everybody else away. it's such a high quality game that it's surprising that it came from the Sonic series in 2024. And with that Sonic Movie 3 DLC for this game coming out in December, I really do hope that we get to see more DLC for this game, man. They can't waste another opportunity like this. They failed it with Sonic Generations originally, so don't fumble the bag twice here, Sega. Do not do it. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this flipping long ass video. How have I blabbed on for 100 minutes in my time right now? But hey, Sonic Team put a lot of work into this game, so I'll put a lot of work into talking about it. That's what you get when you make quality games, eh? There you go. See, all in all, I'd say Shadow Generations is probably my top 10 Sonic games, I would say. Not better than the original Sonic Generations, in my opinion. I wouldn't go that far. I think the level design is a bit too basic, because it is still Frontiers and Forces coded with, you know, the automation and stuff like that. And the controls not being as fast and fluid as, let's say, Sonic Unleashed. But the controls here, for what they are, it probably is the best version of the Sonic Frontiers base, so yeah, pretty good. If I had to give a number rating for Shadow Generations out of 10, I think I might go with like a 7.75. I think it's a bit too short for me to give an 8, and I also don't think it's not worthy enough to be a 7.5. So I'll go smack dab in the middle, 7.75. That's my rating. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of Sonic X Shadow Generations. What are your total thoughts on the game? Let me know down below. Love to see what you guys have to say. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, especially that last one. Don't forget to become unleashed by hitting that join button down below. Remember, it's not necessary. And I'll see you all next time. Peace!